second marriage. Let's talk about max. So I was in a situation the other day where I wanted to, or I thought was a very, very simple thing to happen, and everything my computer box was telling me that it was clearly the most impossible thing since the Tower of Babel. So all I wanted to do, I had this sound in Ableton. Not even a very good sound, just this crummy little beat. And I had this sound in Max. Just some crummy little loop. And I wanted them to play on top of the other. I wanted to figure out a way to make Max do that cool thing that Ableton does, where when you tell it to do something, Ableton's like, yeah, I'll do it in a second. And it waits until the next downbeat to actually do it. I wanted that in Max. So I thought, all right, piece of cake. I know all about Live Observer and all that crap. So here's what I'll do. I'll make a Live Observer. And I appreciate that there's something sad about just showing you failure. You're about to watch 3 minutes of failure. But anyway, I had a Live Observer and a Live Path. And let's see, Path, Live Set. This is me just trying to observe the current song time. I figure I'll watch the current song time and I'll use that to trigger my events. So, I'm sorry, Live Set, Live Observer, this is all wrong. Property current song time. Sorry if I do like sniffly coughing stuff. I'm pretty sick. I know it's gross. I'm sorry. So current song time, live set, and if live is playing, which it now is, I should be observing those values as they come in here. So that's the current song time in beats. So it should be a pretty simple task. All I'll do is well, first take that number of beats mod 4, because I don't really care whether I'm on beat 4 or 1004. I just care am I on beat 1, 2, 3, or 4. So I'll look at that value, and then I'll recognize a downbeat by seeing that the beat I'm given is less than the previous beat, right? Makes sense. So if like I go from beat 4 to beat 1, clearly 1 is the downbeat because 1 is less than 4. And usually when you go, you know what I mean. Anyway, so to do that, I'll look at the I'll compare the current beat and the previous beat. So this trigger will first look at this beat compared to the previous beat and then make the previous beat the current beat. But anyway, I'll watch for when that's less than 0, or rather when one's less than the other. And that should give me a downbeat. And if I turn this loop on here in Ableton, sure enough, you'll see this blink basically on the downbeat. I thought, great, I'm done. So now all I have to do is make a big toggle and an integer box and wait until I get a bang here to sample that integer box and then send that value to group. Make a sig because group takes a sig. And now, okay, but here what happens. Listen to what happens. They're not even close. They could not be less well aligned, and it's incredibly frustrating. And I don't know. It's not a good situation. It's upsetting. It was very upsetting, and I said and did things that I regret. So, what do we do? If we can't do that, what are we going to do? So here's the trick. This trick is not a good idea. More than anything, it probably emphasizes problems with Max for Live. But what we're going to do is use audio to trigger our audio. That way, we'll know that. We'll know that the sample accurate audio that Ableton is giving us will give us sample accurate audio out in Max. So what I'm going to do is jump back to Ableton and load up this sound. This little sound here is just the sound of me hitting my head against a pot, and it sounds like this. I think specifically it was my forehead, but it doesn't matter because we're never going to hear that sound. What we're going to do is use it to trigger our sound. What we're going to do in Max is watch until the sound coming in here is something other than 0, and then use that to trigger our groove. So first I'm going to make a not equals tilde 0, and all that's going to do is be 0 whenever the input is 0, and 1 whenever the input is not 0. I'm going to make a gate. Gate tilde is the audio form of gate. and I'm just waiting here. I want a gate because I want to listen for a 1, but once I've got one, once I've got some sound, I don't really care what else is in there. So this gate is just to turn all that crap off and make a snapshot. You have to make a snapshot here. What I want to do is feed the audio back in here to shut off this gate when I get a value I'm interested in, but you can't because you can't have cycles in your audio. So I'll make a snapshot here, snapshot 10, and select for a 1, something other than 0. And whenever I get that, I'm going to close off this gate. Piece of cake. Line these up and fix this. Nice. Okay, so that's that. Now what I want to do is send a 1. As soon as I get a 1, I want to send a 1 all the time to group tilde. So to do that, we're going to use sample and hold. Sample and hold is a pretty sweet little object. What he does is waits for a trigger here, which is to say he waits for a case where the audio goes from less than some threshold to greater than some threshold. And when that happens, it samples the value in this inlet and holds it, sends it out continuously through this outlet. So here's what that might look like. Say you had a number sending out some signal here, another number down here listening to it, and, oh no, that's not good. And this number is all like, oh, I'm going to go up to 113. This number's like, I don't care, because sample and hold didn't get anything in this inlet. But now, if we have a click here, remember, click just sends out a 1 for a single sample when it gets a bang. So we bang it, and now sample and hold's like, what you talking about? I got your 113 right here because I got that thing in there. And now this guy can change, and sample and hold doesn't care until you click, and now everybody. Okay, so that's what sample and hold does. He's a really cool guy. So as soon as a 1 comes through the gate here, it's going to trigger, but also be sampled. And then all we have to do is send that down to groove, and we're done. I'm also going to send the 0 because that will reset groove back to the beginning of the sample, as a little side note there. I'll line these up, clean this up. One more thing, I'm going to make a button here to reset the state of this whole thing so that we can get triggered again. To do that, crap. First thing we want to do is open this gate. Opening the gate will let audio through again. In particular, it will let zeros through, which we'll get down to the sample and hold, which we can then sample. What's happening to my audio? Which we can then. What the heck is happening to the audio? This is not good. That's better. Okay, now we're sampling my audio, and I will send. What the hell? Is that better? Yeah. Okay, sending my audio to here, and we'll get a new sample. That sample will be 0, and it will turn groove off. Everything will be amazing. So now, finally, at last, we come back to live. Turn this loop on. Turn this loop on. And now, as soon as we play this audio, something other than 0 is going to come in here, and it's going to trigger our groove. Wait for it. And look at that. Ugh, of course there'll be an audio glitch. But what's awesome is that all the audio has... What's good is that all the audio is now right on top of each other, perfectly synced up, because we triggered audio with audio. So anyway, obviously there's a lot of improvement to make there. You could make the stop mechanism also play by that same logic. But here's a basic idea of how to exploit Live's own internal audio scheduling and how to get Max to sync up with that. So moral of the story is if you want sample accurate timing, you have to trigger samples with samples. Anyway, hope that was helpful. Hopefully that will save you guys some sweat and tears when you're doing Max for Live programming. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys around. Happy patching. How do I stop this?
You never have that.
How do I stop this?